Hello, everyone, and welcome. MovieManCHAD here for another Blu-Ray update for February 24th, 2018. Let's talk about animated movies. Now, I've got a bunch of Blu-rays here, animated films from multiple studios over here, and then I have live-action Disney films and animated films from both Disney and Pixar to show you today. I picked up most of these in the last few years, and I'm glad and happy to finally add them to my collection. These are movies that I've seen throughout my life, through my whole love of cinema, and let's get on with it. Okay, so let's start off. I got a few films from the 1980s, and they're from the same director, so I'm just going to show you them right now. And it is The Secret of NIMH and All Dogs Go to Heaven. Now, I haven't actually seen these movies for more than 20 years. And I actually got these on Blu-ray just a little while ago, and I think I got them for less than $7. Now, there is some special features on this one. Doesn't really indicate that there's any special features on this one. But I'm really looking forward to watching. I'm a huge fan of Don Bluth, and I hear he's got another movie in the pipeline that he's been working on for the last couple years. I think the last movie that he made that came out was Tai-Nei, which I really enjoyed, from 2000. But these are some of the best animated films from the 1980s. The Secret of NIMH, again, I haven't seen for a while, so I'm looking forward to watching that one again. This one comes with a audio commentary. And All Dogs Go to Heaven was a fun favorite one that I think I saw in... It said it came out... This one came out in 1982, I believe. And this one came out in 1989, so I was probably 11 or 12 when I saw this film, and of course much younger when I saw this one. I don't remember seeing this one in the theater, but I do have vivid memories of my mom taking me to see this film. So glad to add some more Don Bluth movies to my collection, and looking forward to his next film, which I think is Dragon's Lair. Don't know when it's coming out. I imagine he's working on it right now. So love Don Bluth, and glad to have these films a part of... I said that already, right? Okay, now we're going to go fast forward from the 1980s to 2005, I believe, with Corpse Bride. This is a film co-directed by Tim Burton, and another wonderful film to add to my Tim Burton filmography that I have. I think I actually own all of his films now, except for, well, I think I'm going to get into another one soon when I get to Disney. This one's not a Disney film. This was a Warner Brothers film. But I think I almost own all the Tim Burton films. I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton, and I really enjoyed this one. I just thought this was beautiful to look at, and it's actually been a while since I've seen this one as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing Corpse Bride again from 2005. This one has tons of special features, and most of these are included on the DVD, so if you own the DVD and the Blu-ray, then you probably already know about that. So here's Corpse Bride, a really awesome, visually stunning stop-motion animated film. As much as I love computer animation and hand-drawn animation, I really love stop-motion animation. All right, next one is from, I believe, 2006. It is Monsters House. This was a spectacular-looking film. It's a computer-generated film from the same studio that did a lot of the Robert Zemeckis. I believe Robert Zemeckis also produced this film. I'm guessing there's a reason we don't get a lot of movies like this from Robert Zemeckis, because I think they had a disaster with the film that came out a few years ago that bombed, that kind of had the same style. This was a huge success, I believe. I remember really enjoying it, and even though I saw it later in life, it came out much later in my life, I was very scared watching this movie. It was quite scary, and I think if I was a kid, I'd be even more scared than ever before. But I think it's just a really unique-looking film with great animation, and I believe some of this was probably motion capture as well. I would like to see more films like this. I'd imagine maybe, hopefully, Robert Zemeckis, after he takes a break from live action, he might return to making more animated films like he did. Of course, this one wasn't directed by Robert Zemeckis. It was produced by Robert Zemeckis. But I really like this director as well, and sadly, he's only made a few films. And yes, he made the remake to Poltergeist, which I don't like at all. But there was another film that he actually made after this, a live-action film that I did enjoy. I can't really remember what it was called, but I remember really enjoying it. I don't know, I just remember just like, I want more movies like this. I really do want more movies like this that challenge the audience, especially the younger audience. They're not afraid to be scary. You know, they can be PG and family-friendly, but also frighten you at the same time. All right, next one is from 2007. I saw this with a bunch of friends once in the theater and just really enjoyed it. And I think they actually came out with the sequel, which I will not be seeing the sequel, but I really loved the first one, and that is Surf's Up. The dude abides as a penguin. Shia LaBeouf, when he actually was a really good actor, voiced the main character. This was just a really amazing film, and I don't remember who. I think the filmmakers of this movie actually went on to make some really great films. I don't remember what they were, and I don't know if I'll mention any of them right now. We'll have to see when I get down through this list. But I remember really enjoying Surf's Up. What a great surprise this wonderful film was. And I know they made a sequel with the WWE, which probably is unwatchable. But if you have not seen Surf's Up, you can get it. It's readily available at your local Walmart, Target, or Best Buy. Okay, next one. I really enjoyed this one. I can't remember what year this one was. If it was like 2008 or 2007, or maybe even after that. I'm surprised. Where's the sequel? I mean, where's the sequel to this movie? We have not got a sequel. I'm surprised we have not received any sequel, especially with the superhero craze. And this was kind of a breath of fresh air because we actually rooting. The good guy is actually the bad guy. Oh, spoiler alert! And the good guy is turns out to be a good guy. I mean, the bad guy, Megamind, turns out to be turns out to be the good guy. And I just really funny film from DreamWorks Entertainment, and I imagine we'll probably eventually, hopefully, get a sequel. I would love to see a sequel to this film because I thought Will Ferrell was great in the lead, and Brad Pitt was great, and who's this other actress that was in the film? Tina Fey, I think, led the voice to this movie as well. What a pleasant surprise Megamind was, and I hope we actually get to see more of this crazy villain / good guy in the future. I really do. Now, of course, we got one of these films last year, and we've had a few of these films. There's now this actually the movie I'm going to bring up right now is actually a franchise, of course, and some spin-offs. But I have to say the first one is the best, and the rest of them are good. But I think I only really. I don't know. I just think that I really only love the original, and that would be Despicable Me from 2010. This was just a pleasant film to watch, and I couldn't believe how funny it was. It was so enjoyably and hilarious. And I love the Minions, and I saw the Minions movie, and it was fine. And I saw Despicable Me 2 and Despicable Me 3, which were fine. They're fine. They're good films, but I think Despicable Me 1 stands alone. I understand why there's sequels, money, but I think this one holds the most warmth and enjoyment for me. I just really loved the characters, and I imagine there'll be more Despicable Me movies in the future, or at least Minions movies, I'm guessing. But for me, this one will be the only one that is really worth watching time and time again. I enjoyed watching those other films, but this one I actually would watch again and again and again and share it with my family in the future. Okay, next one. Oh, what a surprise hit in 2011. We got a really great Christmas movie from the studio, and this was presented, I believe, in... this one was presented in, I believe, in... computer animation, but a lot of the films that come from this studio, they make films that are stop motion animation. They actually have one in the theaters right now, which I really want to see, but I have no time. And I'm talking about 2011's Arthur Christmas. This is a kind of a cooler little set. It's got a slip cover, and this one a little thicker because it comes with the Blu-ray 3D, which I don't really. I mean, I have the 3D here. It's in here. I don't really have a 3D TV, and then it comes with the Blu-ray and the DVD. But I think this is definitely one of the best Christmas movies for the entire family of the last 15 years of cinema. Again, I'm surprised we haven't seen a sequel in some kind from this movie. It's just so original, so interesting, so heartwarming and funny. And the 3D was great. And look, it even comes with a Justin Bieber video. Wow! Can you believe it? Okay, sorry. My excitement was sarcastic. But I love Arthur Christmas, and this is a nice cut. It's a pretty cool cover right here. It's in 3D, folks. Pretty awesome. So, wonderful film. If you have not seen it yet, Arthur Christmas, I highly recommend it. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, this is just a great, wonderful film. From the studio that I believe they're called Aardman Studio. And they have a movie out right now called Early Man, which I really want to see. And, of course, Wallace and Gromit and all those great stop-motion animated films. So, highly recommend Arthur Christmas. It's definitely worth checking out. From 2012, actually, I think this is the studio. Yeah, okay, so speaking of Arthur Christmas, I believe, yes, this is the studio that brought us The Pirates, Band of Misfits. I saw this once in 2012, did a review for it early on my channel, so many moons ago, but I got it. I think I got, you get, I bought this one, and I think maybe Monsters House, and you get them 2 for $10. So I think I got this for $5, I believe. Hugh Grant's funny in the movie, and I just love stop motion animation, and this is just a wonderful example of that in this wonderful studio that has created so many great films, including Wallace and Gromit and Arthur's Christmas, as I just showed you before. I like this film, and I look forward to watching it again sometime soon. Now we're moving on to DreamWorks. Actually, I have a couple from DreamWorks. I'll just get into it. So from 2013, we have The Cruise, which I think is getting a sequel. It's a nice little slip cover right here. Of course, you take it off, and it's got the same cover. And Nicolas Cage, folks, and I think Emma Stone lended a voice as well, I believe. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I really like The Cruise, and I think there is a sequel coming. And, of course, there's a sequel coming to this film. And this one is How to Train Your Dragon 2. Which I liked. I think I thought that this one was better. This is a better film, in my opinion, from DreamWorks, and I'm looking forward to The Cruise 3, which I don't know when it's coming out. But I like How to Train Your Dragon 1 more than How to Train Your Dragon 2, but these are, again, beautiful films, gorgeous-looking films for the entire family, and probably look amazing on Blu-ray from DreamWorks, and some of the shinier moments of DreamWorks. I can't remember the last DreamWorks movie that I really, really enjoyed. I'm hoping they come out with a good one this year. I really do. Again, I haven't seen Trolls or Boss Baby yet. Sometime I'll get around to it. I know they're all both on Netflix. Someday I'll watch them. But these are films that I both saw in the theaters, and I would recommend from DreamWorks. Now we'll take a break. I think this is a Scottish film or Irish. Let's look it over really quick. I can't remember where this is. Gosh. I can't remember exactly where what studio. Maybe Irish. Gosh, I feel so bad, like, forgetting. But I really, really do love this film. It's called Song of the Sea. This is the slipcover right here. And I have seen the film that the filmmakers made before this. I can't remember. I think this is an Irish film. I really think this is an Irish film. And it's really just a wonderful film. I've seen this a couple times. I did see it once in the theaters, and I had a chance to watch this film again with my nephews and niece while visiting them. It's just a beautiful, hand-drawn animated film that is so incredible. Again, it was nominated in 2014 for an Academy Award. I don't remember which movie won. I imagine it was probably Disney, but maybe something else. Was it Big Hero 6? If it was Big Hero 6, I'm not really sure, but I would pick Song of the Sea instead of Big Hero 6. Again, this has a nice slip cover, and if you're just looking for a different looking kind of animated film, you enjoyed what Disney has to offer, you enjoy all the magic and wonder of many other animated studios, I think you should take a break from all those and check out Song of the Sea. Fabulous, beautiful film that I don't think gets a lot of love. And for a while it was actually free. If you had an Amazon Prime account, you could actually check it out there. But I'm glad to have Song of the Sea. It's a very, very beautiful, nice, lovely film about family. Okay, now let's move on. Oh, okay, so I got a couple here films. I guess these are all films from, Focus Features, which is affiliated with Universal, so I'll just go through these really quick. We have The Box Trolls from 2015. We have The Secret Life of Pets. These are films that I really, really like. I think they're good films, very enjoyable for the family, very funny. I think I like them the same. There's not really any one that I like more than the other. Maybe I like this one more than the Box Trolls. I actually like the Box Trolls more for its visual style than its actual story. I remember really loving the story, but I remember just loving the way it looked, and I love this studio that makes such great stop-motion animated films. Of course, this is computer generated films. This is from Universal and Focus Features, which technically are the same, and of course have the same background and the same studio backing them. And I imagine we'll probably never get a sequel from this one, but a sequel for this one will probably eventually come. And these are definitely wonderful animated films. But let's talk about a film that I think has grown on me. And I did see it in the theater when it came out in 2016. And it's from the same studio, of course, that brought us the Box Trolls and Coraline and Paranormal. And this is Kumbo and the Two Strings. Really enjoyed this film the first time I saw it. And I know it's created more of a cult following since, even though the film is not even 2 years old yet. But I really enjoyed this film. Visually stunning. The 3D was great. I believe I saw it in 3D. I think I saw it in 3D. I think it should be seen in 3D, even though this is not the 3D. This is a nice slipcover of Kubo. And I'm looking forward to, again, watching this film again. I really want to enjoy it and give but I just remember really taken aback by the gorgeous stop-motion animation, and I'm looking forward to what the studio has in store next. I don't know what they're working on now, of course, but I imagine something's coming in the next couple of years, and I look forward to it. I think this is one of the best studios working in the business, making films that are different than other, because we're so bombarded and wonderfully bombarded by computer-generated films, but I'm a huge sucker, and I just love stop-motion animation, maybe as much as I love hand-drawn animation. Okay, moving on. Thank you. That was 17 minutes of wonderful animated films. Let's take a pause, and I will be right back. Okay, before I continue on with animated movies, let's take a break and talk about Disney live action films. I got a few here. It's going to go through really quick. Now, the first one I'm going to show you wasn't originally a Disney film. I believe it was distributed back in the 1970s when, oh my gosh, my chair's going to pop open. Okay, sorry about that. I believe it was distributed from another studio in the 1970s before Disney bought this company, and that would be The Muppets. This is the original Muppets movie. I love this. I love this film. It's a great film. It's a wonderful film, and I'm glad that we're still getting Muppets today. That they're still popular with the generation that's growing up. They're still popular with the generation that loved the Muppets from the beginning. And of course, I grew up with the Muppet Show and everything Jim Henson. And this movie, it was probably on repeat. And I think the first time I remember watching it, I think it was on television. I don't know if I saw it in the theater because I believe this film came out in the late 1970s. But I remember watching it. We recorded it on a VHS cassette and watching it over and over and over and over again, probably until the VHS cassette died. But I love the original Muppet movie. It's probably still the best in my opinion, even though I do love the Christmas Carol film and the new Muppet movie from 2011. And might as well, since I'm talking about Muppet movies, let's go to 2014 and talk about Muppets Most Wanted. So the first Muppet movie, and right now the last Muppet movie, Muppets Most Wanted. I really hope we get another one very soon. We got one in 2011, which was great, and this one was fun as well. I don't think it is as good as this film or the Muppets from 2011, but I think it's still a solid, fun Muppet movie. And now the Muppets that are not on television more, how are they going to make their wonderful return, I hope, with another Disney film? So really love the Muppets and enjoy these films, and I hope to add more Muppet movies to my collection. And there still is some Muppet movies that I still haven't seen. I haven't seen Treasure Island. I still haven't seen Muppets Treasure Island or Muppets from Space. But I have seen the latest Muppet movies and, of course, the classic three that came out in the 70s and 1980s. I hope to add those to my collection as well someday. All right, moving on. So that's 2000 or like 2014. The 70s and 2014. Okay, where we're going on from there. let's talk about 2006. Oh, wait, so 2005, Disney produced The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I thought this was an incredible, amazing film. Sadly, Pris Caspian didn't meet my expectations after watching the first Chronicles of Narnia film that was produced by Disney. And of course, they went on to work with another. I mean, of course, Walden Media, who made this film, went on to be working with, I believe, 20th Century Fox, and they made the third movie, and it kind of never went anywhere from there. And I think there's another Narnia movie coming someday. I almost feel like it's a little too late, and they probably have to, even though those movies are all though the books are all quite complicated and everything. But this one, in my opinion, is just a wonderful, wonderful, amazing film. Wonderful music, wonderful visuals. Again, wasn't a big fan of Pris Caspian. I did like The Dawn Trader, I think it was called. But I'm glad to have really only this one in my collection. I feel like this is the one that I really wanted to own, and I'm glad I got it. And it's just a wonderful film, and beautifully shot, and fun, and entertaining, and perfect for the entire family, folks. All right, moving on. Let's go 2006 and 2007. We're going to talk quickly about the Pirates movies. I enjoy. This is the second Pirates movie, Dead Man's Chest, and the third Pirates movie, At World's End. And I enjoy this movie more on a visual level than anything else. And I think I got them for less than $10. And I would just watch them and probably just look at how visually stunning they are and how emotionally empty and the story's convoluted and it's insane. But again, it's still fun, and I like the pirate movies. And I would definitely own all the pirate movies with Johnny Depp and all that. And I would love to see another one, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the last one that came out last year. I enjoy these films, maybe as guilty pleasures, but they're just so beautiful to look at. They're nowhere near the original 2003 film, but they're still so beautiful to look at, and I couldn't help it. I had to get them. I had to get them. All right, moving on. Let's go to I think this other one is 2007. I think, and I really like this film. And I actually found out after I got it recently that they're coming out with a sequel finally. So we have Enchanted from 2007. It's a wonderful Disney film that makes fun of all the tropes of princess movies from the past. Just funny. Just downright funny with some wonderful music, wonderful acting. And I hear there's a movie coming out soon, a sequel called Disenchanted. I just looked that up. And just happy to hear that they're actually finally making a sequel. This movie is over 10 years old now, and I imagine there was going to be a sequel probably the next year, the year after that. And I would be fine if there wasn't a sequel to Enchanted. It's not the greatest movie ever made. Someone would probably argue with that. But overall, it's still a fun, wonderful film, and I look forward to watching it. It's just, and Amy Adams is fabulous in the film. She just captures what a Disney princess would act like in the real world. And I enjoyed it. And again, I don't love this movie, but I do enjoy it for what it tries to do and the fun it has with making fun of what Disney's produced in the last 100 years of Disney. Okay, from 2010, I have Tron Legacy. Love Tron. Tron is one of my favorite films from my childhood. I sadly can't put that movie right here, right now. I do not own Tron on Blu-ray. I do have it on DVD. And I would like to own on Blu-ray. I love Tron, and I was so happy when Tron Legacy came out 100 years later. And just loved being in this universe one more time. I don't know if we'll ever be in this universe again. I really hope so, that we'll get another Tron movie someday. And I really, after this film, I became a huge fan of Joseph Kervinsky, who made this film. My battery's dying. I'm going to change my battery really quick and continue on with this video. Okay, quickly back to Tron Legacy. I really became a huge fan of this director. Of course, went on to make one of my favorite science fiction movies of all time, Oblivion. And then last year he made a great film. He took a break from science fiction and he made Only the Brave last year, which was a great film from 2017. I hope someday, I pray someday, that he returns and makes a third Tron movie. I really hope that happens. Okay, finally, before I move on to animated films, let's talk about one more Disney live action movie that I really, really enjoyed, and I really want to try and watch it again because I thought it was a really great film until the end, and that would be Tomorrowland. just so much hype and excitement for this film from 2015, and I was a little let down by it when I eventually saw it, but I remember really enjoying a mass majority of this film until it got to the very end, and it just kind of wrapped things up in a very uneventful, anticlimactic way, in my opinion. It just felt like it just didn't know where to go at the very end. But I'm glad to have it. I really want to watch it again because I really did enjoy it, even though it's not a perfect film as much as I hoped it was when it first was. You know, I tried to stay away from the trailers. I really tried to just wanted to go in the movie and just be like, take me on an adventure, show me something I've never seen before, you know, because we know about Tomorrowland from Disneyland and all that stuff, but I felt like he was doing something with that and making it a whole original film, and I'm a huge fan of Brad Bird, and I'm excited that he's making another Incredibles movie that's coming out this year. So I really wanted to see this movie finally again, and I'm glad to add Tomorrowland to my Blu-ray collection, and I just, you know, I probably will still have problems with the very end, or at least maybe I'll be more forgiving and just be like, fine with it, I can live with it now, and just enjoy the fact that this movie has a solid beginning and a solid middle. And it is definitely a visually interesting film. And I would invite more films like this. I know at one time, I think Jon Favreau, even though now he did Jungle Book, and he's doing Lion King. I think at one time he was talking about making a movie about the magical kingdom. I don't know what that's going to be like, but maybe it'll have something in common with Tomorrowland. I just don't know. Okay, now that I've talked about animated films from many studios, and I've talked about live-action films from Disney Studios, let's get to the meat of this video, finally. Thank you so much for your attention. We'll start from the beginning. So I've got a lot of Blu-rays from Disney Animated Studios, and I'm going to try and go through this as quick as possible. But I do have a big, huge love for Disney animation and a big, huge love for the films I'm going to show for you right now. Let's start with the first two, the original, first few years of Disney Animated Studios with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Pinocchio. I've seen these movies countless times. I can't say that I know them by heart or, can repeat dialogue over and over and over again, but these films are a part of my childhood, they're part of my life, and some of the greatest films, not only some of the best animated films ever made, of course, but some of the greatest films ever made, and I just enjoy watching these films, and I want to pass these on to my family members, the young ones in my life, and hopefully they'll pass them on, and of course these films will live on forever because everybody loves, for the most part, everybody loves. If they don't, I don't know. Everybody does. I think everybody pretty much can say they may not be the biggest fan of Disney, the studios, or Disney the product, or Disney the company, but I think they can say that these two films are fabulous films that can be enjoyed by all ages, and they never get old. They're completely timeless. And which one do I like more or love more? I'm going to say Pinocchio. I think I enjoy Pinocchio more than Snow White. But I do enjoy both these films so very, very much. Okay. Let's go with, I think this movie came out, I can't remember exactly what year, but it's Dumbo. And I think Dumbo is getting a live-action version soon, directed by Tim Burton. But I love Dumbo. I hear that song. There's some great music, of course, in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and of course in Pinocchio. But Dumbo has some wonderful music in the film as well. And I just tear up every time I hear that song. I think, he's when Dumbo's with his mom or something like that. I can't exactly remember. Again, a lot of these films I have not seen in a while, but I remember watching them time and time again as a young kid. But just I really enjoyed Dumbo, and I'm really interested to see what Tim Burton's going to do with this story. That'd be just interesting to see. I imagine there's going to be a lot of changes, from what this movie presented and what the new version is going to present. But Dumbo is a classic film and wonderful, and I think most people do love this film. Okay. Now let's talk about personally, we're going to talk about more films after this, but I want to talk personally about my favorite Disney animated film of all time. In my opinion, the best one, probably because it is one of the most visually stunning films I've ever seen in my life. And when I made my desk, or actually when my neighbor made my desk for me and I planted a bunch of films on that desk, at least 30, 40 films on that desk, this is, I believe, one of the only animated films on the desk because it is my favorite Disney animated film of all time. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Sleeping Beauty. I love this film. It's beautiful to look at. The music is great. The villain, one of the greatest villains captured ever on screen. It is presented in widescreen. It's 2.33 aspect ratio. I don't know if a lot of Disney movies were. I think this is one of the only, maybe this and Lady and the Tramp, were only presented in that wide aspect ratio. It's a little shallow. I have to admit, the movie's a little shallow, especially with the love story. It's not perfect, but in my eyes, that doesn't matter. I don't care. It's just a beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful, loving, awesome. You can see the attention to detail with the animation and the way it looks and the backgrounds and the amazing music, the great classical music that they used with this film. I did have back in 2012. I did have the privilege to see this movie in the theater. It had been a while, at Disneyland on my birthday, I think, in 2012. And I believe I did a review for that. You can check it out if you like on my channel. It's somewhere over there. I don't know. I love Sleeping Beauty. It is my favorite when it comes to Disney animated films. And that's it. Let's move on. Oh no, and I just dropped it. I'm sorry, Sleeping Beauty. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's talk about two Disney animated films. Actually, So we got The Sword and the Stone here. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but I remember really enjoying this one as a kid. And I think they're also trying to turn this one into a live-action film. And The Aristocats, which I have not seen in a very long time. I have not seen both these films in a very long time. I do have more memories of watching Sword and Stone. I think I saw this a few times growing up. I don't know how much to say about, especially, I do love all the interactions between Merlin and that other witch. When they're fighting and they're doing their powers and they're just fighting against each other. I have so many wonderful memories of that. Aristocats, I don't really have a lot of memories from this film. So I got this one because I just really wanted to see this movie again and see how much it holds up. So here's two Disney animated films before we move on to some ones that I'm more passionate about. Winnie the Pooh, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Chatty the Pooh. The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I believe this movie came out the year I was born in 1977. I hear that they're bringing out a new Winnie the Pooh movie that's coming out this year with Ewan McGregor. That is a live-action film. So unique, so different. So Christopher Robin's older now, and Winnie the Pooh is going to help him somehow. I don't know how it's going to happen. Tigger 2 and Eeyore and Rabbit and Piglet. Fabulous family movie. Just entertaining. Music, great, wonderful music. What more can you say about Winnie the Pooh? It is a masterpiece of children family entertainment. Winnie the Pooh, I love you. I can't wait to watch you soon. Winnie the Pooh, I love you. Let's put you in the Blu-ray soon and watch you because you are awesome and so chatty. Okay, moving on. Let's conclude Disney before we move on to the 90s with an 80s film. Now this one is The Fox and the Hound with The Fox and the Hound 2, which I probably will never ever watch. I only really got this because I love The Fox and the Hound. And I've seen this film a few years ago. I think it was on Hulu or Netflix or something. I saw it, and just one of the most depressing animated films ever made. But it's so wonderful and warm and kind and so sad and somewhat realistic with its subject matter about these two friends that shouldn't be friends, and as they get older they realize that they weren't really supposed to be friends, but how they hold their friend. Oh, it's just so sad. I love it so much. Fox and the Hound, what more can you say? Great, wonderful film. And I really love this film. And glad to have it. Really happy to have it. Okay, now let's move on to the 90s with a movie that Disney didn't acknowledge until years later when it became more popular. But originally this film was a Touchstone Pictures film, and now it's a Disney film, and now Disney loves it and sells products, and they have rides, and it's wonderful, and I actually did see it a few months ago with my friends in the theater again. I've seen it countless times. I love it. It's one of the best Halloween Christmas movies ever made. You can watch it on Christmas, you can watch it on Halloween, you can watch it anytime you want because it's just beautiful. And that would be The Nightmare Before Christmas, directed by Henry Selick and produced and written by Tim Burton from his original ideas. Caroline Thompson wrote the screenplay. It's just wonderful. I did a whole review a few months ago. What more can you say about The Night Before Christmas? It is definitely a classic. It is one of the best films ever made. Great music, wonderful characters, perfect. What more can you say? It is perfect. Now on to more of the 90s. Let's go through a quick little... Let's do two movies from the mid-1990s, and that would be from 94. We have The Lion King, which just came out with a nice slipcover. It's very shiny. I really wanted to get the steelbook, but it was all gone. But I'm glad to have it. And I have The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Two movies that I saw in this theater. Now, The Lion King was a film that... At the time that I saw it, I remember growing up and I saw Aladdin and I saw Little Mermaid and I saw Beauty and the Beast, and I liked those movies. They were fine and stuff like that. But The Lion King blew my freaking mind and reminded me why Disney makes the best animated movies ever. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jon Favreau does. I think when the live action movie comes out next year, or the year after that, again, this is perfection. This is a great film. It's wonderful to look at. I'm surprised it didn't get nominated for Best Picture in 1994, but of course there were some really great films that came out that year. Lots of great films, like 100 great films. In 1996, we had probably one of the most controversial animated movies ever made. So the subject matter is a little dark, and of course it's rated G. It's a really fun movie, and I'm glad that Disney took the risk with the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I remember enjoying watching it. I've seen it a few times, and I appreciate that it got a little dark. It got a little dark. Both these films are a little challenging, even though they're both G-rated. I imagine they might be PG today, especially some of the dark subject matter that are in both of these films. But a great second renaissance. They were to continue on the renaissance. I just like saying renaissance. And this actually does come with the sequel, which I imagine sucks, and I probably will never watch. But this one just comes with not the sequels. I don't think I've ever seen the sequels, and nor do I want to. But I do like the original films. I wonder if they'd ever make a live-action version of this. Or would we ever get maybe The Hunchback of Notre Dame? I mean, I know it's been done live-action before in the past. But would they make a modern-day version, not from Disney, but maybe another studio might make it, and present it in more of a realistic, dark fashion, without songs and statues that come to life and sing and dance for you? Okay, moving on. Let's talk about, in my opinion, let's talk about two great Pixar movies. Now we're going to get into Pixar for a little bit. In 1998, there was A Bug's Life, which I think is just wonderful. It's just a wonderful film, wonderful characters, and it's one of my favorite Pixar movies, and sadly we'll probably never get any more from these. I think even Pixar wants to forget they made this film, which I don't know why. It's just wonderful. I don't know what else you can say about Bug's Life. Just so funny. I'm really laughing and enjoying this film. And then in 2001, a few years later, we had Monsters, Inc., which I think is superior, of course, to Bug's Life. But these are definitely some of the best animated films ever made. I just think these are wonderful, enjoyable for what they are. Of course, I think between these two films, we got a Toy Story movie. I want to forget that. But, just great reminders of Pixar and the wonderful things that they're contributing to the art of cinema. And I love these characters, and I even like the prequel to this one, Monsters University. Definitely would own that someday. Great films. What more can you say? Pixar at their best. And, they only missed the mark maybe once that I can see. And these are definitely high marks on my list for some of the best Pixar movies ever made. Really enjoyed these two wonderful films. Now we have another film from Disney, going back to stop. I'm losing my mind, folks. Hand-drawn animation before they stopped. I wish they would go back. And we have Lilo and Stitch. This actually does come with a sequel, which I'd be curious to watch the sequel. But I do love Lilo and Stitch so very much. Just so different. We get, Disney is known for making these great films that, take these classic stories and turn them into, something that can be joy forever. And then something like this comes along and just is so different and unique and special. And that would be Lilo and Stitch. I love this film, the wonderful animation, the story that's fun, the great characters, the great friendship that happens between this alien and this lovely little girl. And it's one of the best. It's just so awesome. I love Lilo and Stitch so much. I'd be curious to watch the sequel. Should I watch the sequel? Let me know in the comment box below. Have you seen Lilo and Stitch 2? Should I watch it? I know it's just straight to video. I'd actually love to see a real sequel to Lilo and Stitch, something hand-drawn animation. And I believe these filmmakers went on to do some really great stuff in the computer animated world. So Lilo and Stitch, classic film, love it so much. Going back to Pixar, we're going to talk about probably one of their greatest films, Finding Nemo, and I really like Finding Dory as well. But Finding Nemo, of course, I believe is the first Disney Pixar film to win the Oscar for Best Animated Film in 2003. Just love Lilo, love the turtles, love the story, love the music by Thomas Newman. I just love going, thank you, Lilo and Stitch. Did I just say Lilo and Stitch? Hey, you're over there, Lilo. No, thank you, Finding Nemo, for coming into our lives and showing us what great storytelling is for everyone. And I just noticed that Nemo, why did I say Lilo? Sorry, Nemo has little freckles. Such nice attention to detail, wonderful attention to detail. Just warms your heart just looking at this, doesn't it? Just warms your heart. You're like, aw, so cute, so special. So wonderful. So perfect. Okay. Disney surprised me in 2008 with a movie called Bolt. I have not seen this film in 10 years. But I got it on Blu-ray. I want to watch it again. I just was so excited after watching this movie and so enjoyable. John Travolta, one of the best things John Travolta does. I believe he voices the dog in this film. What a great surprise. And again, where's the sequel? I'm surprised there hasn't been a sequel to this movie at all. I'm surprised Disney didn't want to capitalize on Bolt because it was definitely one of their best animated films. And of course, this one was from the studio, not from Pixar. And it's definitely one of their best non-Pixar computer animated films. Bolt. Why do we not have a sequel? Can you let me know? Was it unsuccessful? Because I thought it was a big hit, and I think it got nominated, I believe, for an Academy Award. And I think it made lots of money, and it had some great characters. That hamster and the ball character, which is hilarious. There it is. It's covered, sorry, by the price tag. Sorry, but there's the hamster and the ball. Maybe I can take that, show you. Look at a hamster. Come on, it's hilarious. So funny. So funny. Love Bolt. I would love and welcome another film. Just don't go straight to video, because straight to video is like a death note. I want to see a live-action animated film sequel to Bolt. I think it'd be a lot of fun, enjoyable to watch. It's been 10 years. Come on, people. All right. I was talking about, when I was talking about Monsters House, I did bring up the fact, that Robert Zemeckis produced that film. And then, of course, for a time, he was making animated films. And I think at one time, he made a Disney animated film. And I thought it was just really creepy and weird and just out there. And, of course, it took a story that we've known and we've seen time and time again. I remember really, really enjoying it, mainly because of the visual level, and I knew the story and all this stuff, but I think it's just visually weird and crazy, just like look at it and go like, I don't know if I like this or love this or whatever. And of course, I'm talking about A Christmas Carol. This is the one starring Jim Carrey, and I really did enjoy this film a lot. I really did. I know a lot of people probably don't. It's probably not one of their favorite Christmas Carol versions. But I maybe it's not one of the best. but it is an enjoyable film to look at for the most part. It's just maybe enjoyable because it's so weird and the animation's so different, and it's presented in a way, and of course this is a classic tale that will be told 100 times after this, and this may not be one of the best versions of it, but it's different. It's definitely different. All right, moving on to 2012, we're going to talk about Tim Burton one last time. His last time that he went into the, hopefully he'll return someday, into the stop-motion animated world. And in 2012, he co-directed, he just directed Frankenweenie. Of course, this one is based on the original short film that he made earlier in his career. I got this not because I loved this film. I didn't love this film. I actually really loved the short more than this film. Because maybe it's a small story and it's nice to be told. Maybe this movie was maybe 30 minutes. I think they do drag it out a little bit with some side plot elements. But I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton. I love Tim Burton and his films, even if he makes something that maybe not as special as his other films. I still really enjoy Tim Burton and his work and his visual style. And I really haven't seen this. It's been a while. It's been more than probably 5 years since I've seen Frankenweenie. This one actually comes with the 3D version, which I did see in IMAX back in the day. But I'm a big fan of Tim Burton, so I wanted to have this one, and I need to watch it again, and I'll probably love it even more the second time around. I have some friends that really love this film, and probably would question my intelligence for not loving this movie. Maybe because I just really enjoyed the short more that came out in the 1980s. But I appreciate that it's a stop-motion animated film that got a wide release, that is from a major studio, and it's presented in black and white. That's what I think I love most of all about Frankenweenie, and I look forward to revisiting it very, very soon. And finally, from 2016, one of the best animated films of that year, and the movie that should have won Best Animated Films over the movie Zootopia, which is a good film. The Zootopia is pretty overrated in my opinion, and I would have welcomed this film to win instead of that film. And I'm talking as the final movie that I'm going to talk about right now and move on with my life. And here we go, Moana. This was a very pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed this film, and I had a few years of doubt when it came to Disney. I get a little bit of doubt when they make some films that I don't absolutely love. Like, I didn't love Zootopia. I despise Frozen. And so those films had come out, and I thought Big Hero 6 was a good film. Nothing spectacular. Probably will get a sequel. But Moana came out of nowhere and surprised the hell out of me. I really enjoyed it. The songs are nice. The songs are fun. They're not as memorable as I would hope, but I love the characters. I love the strong lead character of Moana, and The Rock is great in the film, and Jermaine Clement has got a great this crab thing. I can't remember exactly what he was, but I remember really enjoying it, and the beautiful animation. It's wonderful, and it's so great, and it should have won Best Animated Film over Zootopia. Ugh. Anyways, Moana's great. Most people already have it. I'm glad I got this. This was a Black Friday deal that I got. I think I got this for less than $10. Glad to have Moana in my collection. Glad to have all these movies, as I say all the time. Wonderful to have all these movies, even the movies that maybe I don't absolutely love in my collection. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching this really long video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed the content I've shared over the last few years. I hope to have more Blu-ray updates in the near future, maybe some vlogs about some of the movies that I've seen in 2018, I don't know. But in the comment box below, let me know what you thought of all the movies that I shared for you today. Thank you again for your time. Have a great life. I hope you have a wonderful day. I need to drink some water. Bye. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Love you.